Good evening, everybody. Sammy Thunder here. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another discussion on card shows. As I mentioned last week, I introduced the topic of bargain bin boxes, bargain bin hunting, and I wanted to get your thoughts and your comments about it. So I received some really good feedback that I'm going to share with you guys tonight. Really, the bargain bin boxes is a niche thing. I think there's collectors that don't even bother because it's not fit for their collections, and then there are people that dive right in and look heavily for some really good gems in there. But I got a lot of mixed opinions on it. I'm going to bring up some comments that I received from you guys, so thank you as always for contributing towards this, and we'll continue this journey forward. But let's jump right ahead into this and pick out some comments. Our first comment comes from Brian. Hodges1455 gave a video the like. Thank you very much, Brian. I've had nothing but negative experiences from bargain bin shopping. My take is you can really find a card marked for $20 half off or $10 and feeling that the card is a $25 card, and it worked out awesome for you. My experience has just been a time suck. The bargain boxes weren't really bargains, which steals your time at the show. Moving forward, I would only look through them if I've seen all the tables at a show and decide to treasure hunt. Great video, Sammy. Brian, I completely understand, especially at those big shows, which I know we both intersected at, like at Strongsville and the National. And you really have to be conscious of how much time you spend at these bargain boxes because time can slip away really fast. And I think you bring up a good point. If you go to a bargain bin box, you can immediately tell if something is going to work out for you or not, because based on the prices that you're seeing on these cards, you can make an immediate decision just based on that alone. You know where this dealer stands on these prices. So you can make a conscious decision on the spot without wasting too much time and be able to move on to the next dealer. And additionally, I'm actually with you on this. I generally bargain bin hunt towards the end of a show when my funds are getting lower and lower to where maybe I can find some cool stuff for $5-10, even maybe for $1. And at that point, then it probably makes a lot more sense to utilize the extra time that I have left over. So Brian, thanks so much for contributing towards this one. Our next comment comes from Anthony C854. Anthony writes, I always look in the vintage bargain bins. I find great undervalued cards in these bins. I'm very selective with respect to condition. I try to look for near mint or better. I especially love the undervalued leaders cards. You get star cards at a fraction of the price to their individual solo card. If I see a box that has VG or EX, I will pass. I find dealers will also give a deal if you buy in bulk. Another great topic, Sammy. Thanks so much, Anthony. So I agree completely about the leaders cards. A lot of times they get passed on, and you can really find some really good condition leaders cards for the fraction of the price. Absolutely true. The only thing, and I wonder, Anthony, how much time you're spending at the bargain bin box is looking for the near mint stuff. I generally do not find a lot of near mint condition cards in those boxes. They're usually reserved for the VG, maybe EX, but a lot of lower grade stuff is going to be found in there. Doesn't mean near mint stuff doesn't exist, but I wonder how much of it is in there. The one big point that I wanted to bring out that you mentioned is buying in bulk, especially when it comes to the bargain bin boxes. When you buy in bulk from the bargain bin box, from my personal experiences, I've found that dealers are far more willing to give you a really nice deal because it's not coming from their big display cases. So you're generally going to get a much better deal. I want to move those cards as fast as possible so they can make room for more. But I thought that's a really good point. And I appreciate you, Anthony, for bringing that up. Our next comment comes from Andrew, ACD1994. He writes, good topic. I like the bargain bin boxes. A tip for the dealers would be to make sure their boxes are organized, but they do serve their purpose, whether it's commons or minor stars, filler cards for set completions, or modern and ultra modern base cards, something for everyone. Every now and then there's card or cards in those dollar bins that do have more than just the dollar value. I also think it's a decent entry point for newer and younger collectors who don't feel comfortable spending big money at their first show or a couple of shows. Yeah. Andrew, I want to bring out the big point that you made in this comment that stood out to me. That was the entry point for newer vintage collectors that may not feel comfortable spending the big money at their first show or first couple of shows. That is 100% true, and it is a great way to get introduced to the hobby. Whether, I guess, it being vintage or modern, you can go either way on it. But if you're new, absolutely, I think it's a really good entry point to start on the lower valued bargain bin boxes. You can really find some good stuff that way and be able to kind of learn in your understanding of what's out there. So really great points, Andrew. Thank you, buddy. So our last comment is from our buddy Redneck Collector. He has a fairly new channel, so please go check him out and subscribe. He writes, I love bargain bin shopping when I have the time. I don't do it much at bigger shows because I normally have a bigger budget and very specific cards in mind. When I do have time, I can usually tell pretty quickly in the first row of cards whether or not it's a good box. Pricing, especially based on condition, is usually something a dealer will be consistent on throughout. So if I don't see positives in the first bit, I look through, I move on. My back can only take so much. I will also maintain that the same approach can be taken on eBay to find great bargains, and buying multiple cards can get you a multi-card discount, same as in person. With either approach, you just have to take time and be methodical. That is a well thought out comment, and Redneck Collector brings up a lot of great points. Now, for him, he mentioned that he's generally a bigger budget collector. He finds specific cards that he wants, so he doesn't gravitate immediately over to the bargain bins, but he does make mention of the fact that when you get to a particular box, with the experience, you could tell immediately if it's worth time diving in. So if you feel as though you're looking through the first 5 or 6 cards and you don't find the price you want, maybe it's time to move on to another table or to move on to another part of that table that you're at. Second thing that he brought up is about eBay. He mentions that you can get great deals, bulk deals on eBay when you buy from the same seller, and absolutely, I found that to be true. And I know a buddy, G's Mikey. Everybody knows Mikey. He is an absolute pro when it comes to that sort of thing. You can find his channel. He buys a lot of stuff off eBay, gets bulk deals, just knows how to do it, is an absolute master. It is definitely worthwhile to gain that experience and that knowledge, and there's a lot of great ways to learn, especially here on YouTube. And you can always reach out to a lot of us here to get some assistance on that, because I think Redneck Collector brings up a great point. Buying online, bulk deals on eBay, definitely worthwhile, and there's an opportunity there. So thank you, buddy. I appreciate you commenting on this particular topic. All right, guys, so now we're going to get to the final part of this video, which is going to carry us into next week. And again, we're going to continue with the card show conversation. I've had this conversation in particular with a lot of collectors alike, and I've gotten a lot of different answers. And I want to know where your mind sits on this. I'm going to give you 2 different cards to look at that I have in my collection. These are just examples, and I want to get your thoughts on this. So I'm going to show the first card. So the first card I'm going to show you is the 1954 Stoudemire Willie Mays. I've shown this repeatedly a number of times. Here's the back. The second card I'm going to show you is the 1956 Topps of Mickey Mantle. I've shown this as well a number of times. It's a great card. The reason why I bring these 2 cards up is to kind of demonstrate the difference in terms of how often you can find these cards at a giant show like Strongsville or the National. Let's say you're looking for the Mays or the Mantle Stoudemire and you stumble upon it at one of the bigger shows, but you find that they're charging 20 to 30% above comps for the card, and they're not willing to come down on it. Now, given the fact that this card can be challenging to find, are you at that moment willing to pay above comps for the card? Or are you going to navigate the room a little bit and give it some thought, and maybe, just by chance, you might stumble across another one? Now, versus, let's take the Mantle into the equation. You find a dealer that is selling this card for 10% above comps. Do you go ahead and jump on it because the centering looks good and it fits your collection perfectly? Or do you, again, navigate the room and come back to it? These are two completely different sets entirely, the Topps 56 and the Stahlmeyers. So yes, I think there's some decisions that go into it. But I want to know, how would you approach that sort of situation? If you're looking for both 56 mantle and a Stahlmeyer mantle, does your mentality change when it comes to making a decision? Are you willing to pay the extra amount because it's so tough to find? But on the flip side, with the mantle 56, are you willing to wait? Even though that particular card may look the way you want it and the dealer's only asking 10% more, are you willing to pay that amount because it fits perfectly with what you want? Or are you going to exhibit more patience? Let's carry that into next week. I'm really curious. Again, these are just examples. Come up with your own examples or situations or scenarios that you've been in and share that knowledge with everybody here. And I'll definitely do my best to present it next week. So thank you guys so much. I appreciate you guys contributing. I'll be doing another card show video at the Fall Classic in Hofstra University on Saturday. I will be attending. So I'll do another card show video and have it ready for Sunday. And then on Monday, we'll do the start of the week. And hopefully I'll have some stuff to share with you guys. Thank you guys so much again. Have a great rest of your week. I'll catch you soon. Take care.